Okay, guys, we are live. The Redox 5 now, not the ASEA 5. We're having to change the name a little bit. No big deal, same group. Yep. Maureen Hayes and Lee Osler both have a prior commitment. And Maureen, I'm not really forgiving her. She kind of hopped on a plane and went down to Mexico on the ASEA trip. Someone couldn't go, so she said, I'll go.
I'll be the stowaway.
Yeah, I'll be the stowaway. And then Lee Osler had a dental meeting over the last 2 days.
Maybe he'll teach us something new about teeth.
Yeah. So Dr. Ray Dixon is kind of helping fill in. He's awesome. Ray, can you go ahead and, because I don't have your who the heck you are. And guys, let us know who you are and where you're calling in from. We're going to jump right into it. We love all of our folks that come on and share. We're so glad that you guys are all here. So Ray, real quick, you live somewhere else on the other side of the pond, I think. Tell us a little bit about you.
I was born in England, grew up predominantly in Melbourne, Australia. When I was 18, my asthma was effectively cured. I've never had it since by a naturopath chiropractor. That changed my world till I became one. That's the quick version. I did exactly what he did. I worked with him for the next 42 years. And now I live in Phuket, Thailand, where I do still see some patients as a naturopath chiropractor, but much more came out of retirement for the product that we're going to talk about today. So that's the quick version, as I'm not the main guest. The next one's on.
All right, Dr. Walker and Miss Nancy Walker, please, Dick, share, or Nancy, you start. Share a little bit about who you are and your past. How did you get involved in ASEA?
Okay, well, I've had a few careers, but I love ASEA the most because I love people the most. And I'm calming down a little bit. I'm a kind of a stressy, have to be perfect kind of a gal, but I am relaxing more and having more fun with life.
Dick's in the background shaking his head. I didn't know if you could see him doing that. I'm ratting him out.
Be pretty bossy, trying to solve everybody's problems, but I'm trying to relax and have more fun. I love it. So I don't know. We were introduced to ASEA almost 11 years ago now, and I was pretty ill, and probably because I ran around trying to control everything in the world, and I hurt from head to toes. I had foggy brain. I couldn't get organized, couldn't focus. I would fall asleep at the drop of a hat. It was hard to drive the car because every time I started to drive, I'd fall asleep. And so I just was not well. Life was a struggle for many, many years, probably 35 years. And the kids were just talking about that. The kids, we have no children under 40 now, but
they're still our children.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my two sons and our two sons, and they were saying, remember when you used to pick us up from school and we'd pull up at home in the driveway and you would say, I'm just going to close my eyes for a minute, and you would sleep for a half hour. So it was rough. Anyway, that was what my life was like. But within a couple of weeks, drinking these amazing molecules, my brain fog cleared up, and I couldn't, remember the last time that my brain was clear. And so it was easy to focus, get things done. And I was, really super excited. Then it took about 6 months though, for my discomfort to go away. Because I hurt every muscle, every joint, I just hurt all. Yeah.
Your background was a dental hygienist?
Yeah, I was a dental hygienist for over 20 years. I worked mostly private practice, but I also taught clinical skills at Eastern Washington University. And then I retired and became an alpaca rancher. And we started with imported some female alpacas from Bolivia. And we started with a male out of Peru, and we built our herd to 150 animals over 20 years. And I had a yarn business from our animals. So I learned everything about yarn, how to sort it, all that, and how to sort the fiber. And then I had an alpaca clothing store. I actually had 2 stores, one online and one brick and mortar. And so I did that for 9 years. We had the alpacas for 20. Then we decided to just have one business, which is called ASEA, which is much more fun and not as hard work. So
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
real quick, when you, and maybe we can dig into it a little bit later, but you also were drinking a minimal amount, then you went up to a little bit more amount. And that was kind of when you had your, what we call our aha moment. And
Yeah.
Dick, I do want to talk about that, why some people don't have an aha moment and yet others do. So, but you had to start drinking more. Were you told to drink more, or just, hey, can't hurt you, why not try a little bit more?
Mhm.
No, I had gone to a meeting, one of my very first ASEA meetings, and I was not being very loud about it, but I was thinking, I love my clarity of mind. I love the energy I got, but this stuff does not work for what I have, which is an immune system that wasn't working very well. And I was thinking, well, it's at least I got something out of it. And then I was talking to somebody, and they said, oh, you need to drink a lot more. And actually, Dick was one of the first people to start saying that. And it tasted so awful to me, like almost like pure
You were ready
chlorine.
to puke.
Now,
Yeah, like
It
you're
was
puke.
well, real quick, Nancy, how long did it taste icky for?
Oh, the whole
Because
6
Nancy Chanel used to call it the icky pool water. So
Yeah.
how long, and that's the founder's daughter, by the way, but
worse than that. Yeah. For 6
Worse than
months.
that.
First-
And I was like
For
gagging,
6 months?
having
Wow.
dry. Yeah. And
6 months?
mhm.
Why did you stick with it for that long? Did Dick make you?
Because I trusted Dick, and I trusted the science. I mean, it's
Okay.
impossible.
But when you, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you went up, then you saw the flavor not be anything but normal water at some point, right?
Oh yeah, it did. And I had about a period of 3 or 4 days where I before my breakthrough, when I did not feel good, I felt real fluish. Like I just
Oh.
thought, oh, I have to go lay down, and I never lay down.
Uh-huh.
So I thought, what is happening here? And so anyway, then like 3 or 4 days after that, I woke up in the morning and I was a new person.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was flexible for the first time in my life. For instance, even when I was 20 years old, you know how people wash their hair in the kitchen sink? I couldn't bend my neck that much to wash my hair in the sink. I always had to do it in the shower. I couldn't do. I was not flexible. I had cesarean babies. I couldn't deliver my babies because my body was just not flexible, even when it was meant to be.
Yeah.
So, but when I woke up after increasing my dose so much, I was flexible for the first time. I couldn't believe it.
That's
I
great.
could turn my head without my spine burning. And I could do yoga. I tried it. I mean, usually I would try to do yoga and it would bring me to tears.
Oh,
I mean, I have a new body.
yeah.
Now, did you say how much you started with and then what you went up to?
I was
Do you
doing
remember?
probably a couple of ounces 3 times a day when I started. And then I
Okay.
went up to 8 ounces twice a day.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, because I'd done a little bit for several months, that helped, I think. I
Yeah.
didn't have to do the really big dose for all that long.
And then you did that amount for how long?
Oh, it was several weeks.
Or
And then you came back down a little bit?
Are you on
Yeah.
the maintenance?
Yeah, about 8 ounces. Now I like to do a little bit more because I'm older, I'm 11 years older and I don't want to go back where I was.
Yeah.
And so, and I think if you can afford it, why not 8, 10, 10 ounces a day is good.
Right.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
did you get back to or skiing? Are you not skiing, or are you
Able
doing
to do your
outside activities that I've seen your testimony? So I was thinking
Yeah.
you might have went back to skiing or something like that.
We haven't skied for a couple of years.
Okay.
And I tell you, last time I skied, I had a snowboarder zip by me at about 100 miles an hour and clip me.
Oh,
And
shoot.
doing it on purpose. He was doing it to some other women on the hill, and it scared me because I thought if
That
he
is scary.
hit me at the speed he was going, and then I thought, well, I kayak, I hike, I do lots of outdoor things. Maybe
Good.
I don't need to ski. I don't want to get an injury. So
Wow. That's great on the
ski
kayak and all that.
and I snowshoe. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So, Dr. Walker, give us your bio. Who are you?
First, I'll have to say that until I hooked up with Nancy, I never knew that people wash their hair in the sink. But that's a whole.
You don't?
Well, it's a woman thing for sure.
I tend to do it in the shower myself. But
And here I was going to ask you to start washing my hair.
What about you, Ray? Do you wash your hair in the sink or you go to the ocean? No. Go ahead, Doc.
So I've been a physician since I finished all my official training in 1980, and that official training took years. But I'm board certified in internal medicine and emergency medicine. I have a degree in preventive medicine and nutrition, environmental health. And I took a year sabbatical out of medical school to get that additional training because I didn't think they were teaching me enough about prevention and nutrition in medical school. And it served me well. If I didn't have that background and that interest, I'm not sure that I would have recognized what ASEA was so early on. Yeah. But I mean, I realized that, and I've realized that, more and more over the years that, Western medicine doesn't have all the answers, but I'm always looking for answers because I'm figuring that, if medicine doesn't know it, probably somebody else does. And certainly Ray with naturopathy and chiropractic. I remember a lot of my medical school colleagues just sort of kind of belittled all those other areas. But I figured if there's got to be something to it because people are doing it and people are going to see these other practitioners and getting benefit. So I've always been pretty open-minded about other things. And I've always been very nutritionally aware and lifestyle aware. I mean, I've always been into exercise and all of those things. I've climbed mountains all over the world, and you can't do that unless you're in pretty tip-top shape. And I'm scheduled for my second knee replacement, and I'm thinking, I guess I just pretty much wore them out, because when I would train for a big mountain like Everest or one of the other, 8,000 meter peaks, I would spend hours on the Stairmaster with 50 plus pounds in my backpack. And I mean, a couple hours a day, in a couple of different workouts. So I got my money's worth out of the ones I was born with. And now it's time to get the second one replaced with the replacement part. And I think ASEA has extended the life of the natural ones and a lot of my other body parts. And so, I first took a look at, or I first realized that Redox was an up and coming area of health and wellness. And shortly thereafter found out about ASEA. And back then we didn't have anywhere near the science that we have now. There's been an explosion in an understanding of redox science and redox signaling molecules and their foundational role in cellular health. And it's been an interesting journey to see all of that unfold over the last, 11, 12 years of scientific endeavor. And now it's it's becoming close to a household word, although not quite. Although it's a flip side and very much related to antioxidants and all of that stuff. And so, it's just fascinating to be in the know and in the thick of this science. I will say that I didn't like the taste of this very much at first, although it didn't taste as bad to me as it did to Nancy. But just to show you that don't ever give up on anybody, we had a case of ASEA sitting on the floor in Nancy's office for 6 months or so.
Oh, wow.
Before we ever did anything with it. And that's another story for another time. But when we did finally started using it, Nancy noticed some real great improvements in her health. I didn't really have any real health problems at the time. What I noticed was that my endurance improved tremendously, and I was able to go from 1 a day to twice a day workouts. I was able to double my mileage, increase my workouts, train harder and recover quicker. And so that was my product experience in the beginning, was just a really improvement in my endurance and my recovery times. And I was working out hard back in those days. So, yeah.
Well, Dr. Walker, what I want to maybe drill down on, but when you were in medical school, because like Maureen Hayes will say that, she had 1 hour, of nutrition when she went to medical school. What was it within you was there anything going on in your life, or was it just common sense that said there's got to be more to this, what you're putting in your body stuff?
I think part of it was the environment that I grew up in. My mother was a real natural food person way before it was popular. And we actually grew up on a farm. And so she was always, talking about how we shouldn't cook our vegetables to death and we needed to eat more vegetables and all that kind of stuff.
To a radio show.
Yeah, and she religiously listened to a guy by the name of, and I can't believe I still remember this guy's name, Carlton Fredericks, and he had a nutrition show out of New York City, actually. And she would listen to that while she did the dishes in the evening, and I would either be helping with the dishes or sitting on the steps right by the dish pan, listening right along with her. Not that I understood much of it, but
right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of amazing. And so that's kind of what we were talking about before we came on, is how a lot of the technologies that we have are just giving the body the basics. And, I grew up on a farm as well. I didn't have that kind of training. My father was an oral surgeon. We did have a huge garden, and I'll say that the gardens that we had back then are nothing like what we get today, correct? So would you say that a lot of people need to be supplementing their nutrition? Is that something that people should be commonly doing today?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's part and parcel is that certainly the fast food category is nutritionally deplete. If you're eating if you're eating a fast food meal once a day, I can tell you that you're not getting the nutrition that you need. Maybe if you're eating it once every other day, because it just doesn't have in there what you need. And even if you're buying organic and all that stuff, you don't really know for sure what's in the food. You don't know if there's the right amounts or enough of the the vitamins and minerals that we need. And so supplementing your basic nutritional is really important. And that's one of the reasons why ASEA came out with the VIA line, to make sure that there was a product available through ASEA that had, a really strong foundational nutritional component to it. I don't know if we want to talk about that in detail tonight, but the omegas are really important. The source is great, especially the way they make it through that fermentation process is cutting edge for nutritional supplementation. And so you do need to do that, because, redox, the redox reactions in our body need some of those cofactors and some of those, and they make it work better. And so it's all kind of part and parcel of the whole thing when we talk about, complete cellular health.
Oh, for sure.
Hey, Ray, real quick, can you kind of pop on and give your definition in case there are people listening and or to the recording live? What are these molecules? What are redox signaling molecules? Why are we even here talking about this?
Sure, absolutely. Well, as Dick has said, it's a relatively new discovery. We're only talking the last 20 plus early years that redox signaling molecules were discovered as an entity, meaning that they profoundly influence the health of cells and the functioning of cells. Of course, they've always been there, but the discovery of the power they have to regulate the DNA, the genes, the health of cells, the repair of cells, the detoxification of cells, and of course, the immune cells' competence to eliminate bad cells. They're cells too that need to be eliminated by other healthy immune cells. So the redox signaling molecules are made in a complex cycle known as the Krebs cycle, oxidative phosphorylation. And as I've heard Dick say before, coming out the bottom end are these redox signaling molecules, of which there's 20 plus, and they profoundly influence the regulation internally of the production and efficiency of some of the master antioxidants. So that's the link back to what Dick said earlier to antioxidants. It's redox signaling molecules, a category of that profoundly affect the internal master antioxidants like glutathione and superoxide dismutase. So keeping it as simple as possible, but the science is there for anyone who wants to dive into it. They're made in the Krebs cycle. We peak at puberty in terms of mitochondrial density and efficiency where these molecules are made, and it's all downhill from there, sadly, at the rate average of 1% per year, 10% per decade. Now, obviously, that will slow down a little if you're a super athlete, training mitochondria and healthier on a healthier diet, like Dick was talking about, but you're still declining. There is no cancelling out the decline, except today, and that's only with a supplement called the ASEA Redox. It's the only way you can cancel out your deficit that we've accumulated with age. So that's the power of redox. It's called the redoxome that regulates the genome. It affects everything else downstream in the cell, including the use of all those materials which Dick was referring to in terms of your vitamins, your minerals. So redox drives materials. Materials would not be capable of being organised into anything if it wasn't for redox molecules. But of course, we need the materials. So redox drives materials and the nutrients and also drive your redox. And it's the two coming together that give the absolute optimum power of maximum health, which is why the likes of Dick coming from one side of the medical fraternity, although I must say he was way ahead of his time, and I came from the other end, and I was on the receiving end of what Dick said about his colleagues' comments in Australia. You know, I was the one being poo-hooed. I was the quack doctor. But I can tell you by the time I left Melbourne, Australia 5-6 years ago, the common reference of the quack doctor was not aimed at the natural therapist. It was actually aimed at the medical fraternity. So sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
So are you calling Dr. Walker a quack?
No. He's on our side.
Switch.
All right.
He's good.
So Dick, real quick, but why are younger people having issues? And when should people start supplementing with these molecules? Because we seem like we have younger children that are battling learning issues and staying focused issues and all these different things. But if they're at a full complement, maybe is it the fast food stuff that's maybe doing some damage? I don't know. I mean,
And other stress factors.
yeah.
You know, the lifestyle that we live now is a lot different than it was 50 or 100 years ago. It's much faster pace. The environment is not as clean and pristine as it used to be. There's all kinds of factors that go into that. And certainly we know that we peak, our peak production of these redox molecules is when we reach puberty. So let's say 15 years old, and then it starts to gradually decline. And we know from the literature and from, one study that we did with, genetic signaling, that even by the time you reach 35, there's some significant challenges there that taking a redox supplement, ASEA, can correct, at least, substantially. And so I think that aging was always there, but it's worse because of environmental stress. And, when we talk about stress, it's important to understand that, most people think of stress as just, emotional stress, that sort of thing. But stress is there's environmental stress. Cold, heat, those are stressors. Bad water, bad air are tremendous stressors on our body that our body has to adapt to, it has to deal with. And even as it tries to do that, it depletes us of redox signaling molecules. In fact, that we now understand that the way we've understood for years that stress is bad, but we didn't really know why it was bad or how it was exerting the negative impact at the cellular level. And now we know that stress exerts its negative impacts by causing an imbalance and deficiency in redox signaling molecules. That's how that happens. So if you want to counteract stress, yeah, you can go to counseling and all that kind of stuff, but you should drink ASEA as well.
Exactly.
And exercise is a stress. When you're exercising, you need more redox signaling molecules. You could sort of equate ASEA to exercise. When you exercise your body, you're doing harm. You're stretching those muscles. The reason you get sore after a weight workout is that you've stressed those muscles. You've put them to an adapting period. Now they need to repair, and then they repair and they're stronger. And a lot of that repair takes a sufficient quantity of redox signaling molecules. So redox signaling molecules, when we take ASEA, we're giving our body an adaptogen, a stress modulator, a product that can actually help our body to deal with the stressors that we're faced with day in and day out, whether it's diet or lack of exercise or work-related, issues, air, water pollution, all those kinds of things put a stress on our body that the body has to adapt to. And if it can't adapt to it, then it gets sick. And that's why stress causes illness.
Okay, now Lee Osler talks about, but sometimes stress is good, like good exercise is good. You have to tear down to rebuild, correct? So, but he says like with fasting and things like that, that's actually good for the body to do that. Could you maybe talk a little bit on that?
Well, exercise is certainly the model there, because when you exercise, you're getting micro tears in your muscle. You're causing minor injury, so to speak, and that's why you get sore. That's why you hurt after you do a weight workout, especially if you haven't been used to doing it. But it's the way to get stronger, because as your body repairs that and adapts to the fact that you're doing something instead of sitting on the couch watching TV, your body comes back and gets stronger. And in fact, it can't do it without that stress, stress period, and then adapting to that. And that's really the principle that ASEA works on, because, our body is never in total balance. The only time our body is in total balance is when we die. And then everything shuts down, and I guess you could say that's balance. But our body is constantly getting stressed and adapting, and and coming back to that middle. The term that Lee uses is hormesis. It's like a teeter-totter. Right. You get on a teeter-totter, unless the person on the other side weighs the same as you do and you don't move, it's either going to go up or down, right? Well, our cells, when it comes to oxidative stress, is constantly like a teeter-totter on one side or the other. And what keeps us from going off balance in one direction or the other is redox. And that's what brings us back to the middle, brings us back into a balance, maybe for a second or two, and then we're out of balance, and it's a constant adaptation to stress.
Yeah.
Ray had some.
The balance point, Dick's perfectly right. We express these in different ways. That's what homeostasis, the term homeostasis is a physiological scientific term for that balance point. But what's really important is if you do not have the materials, and the redox molecules are the peak material in some sense, to be able to adapt to those stressors and therefore stay well, you're going down the gurgle. And that's exactly what happened with Nancy's early description of her life experience for many years. In other words, her body was not capable of adapting to the stressors in her. So that's what led to that autoimmune actions, which created massive inflammatory damage. That's why she lost all the joint flexibility, in constant discomfort, let alone the brain fog. There are many listeners on this call who have experienced chronic fatigue, chronic viral syndrome, fibromyalgic aches and pains everywhere. These are when your body has lost the ability to meet the demand and adapt. So this is exactly putting together the picture for everyone. You need the peak product is redox, and then you need the materials to support the redox to keep you at maximum adaptive capability to any stressor in your life. We now have that for the first time in cellular health through ASEA.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's good. So I was just going to comment back to what Dick was talking about. When you're exercising, your heart is getting stronger, the muscles are getting stronger. So clearly you're going to need more redox signaling so your body can recover, and you're going to go longer, stronger, faster. I mean, we see it all the time with athletes. We saw it in the study at Appalachian State University, Dr. Neiman. So yeah, I love to work out. I work out at least 5 times a week, more so 6, and hard. And so those are reasons to take extra. When we ski, I definitely do extra. When I hike, I do extra. So you want to, but then I was going to comment about the children. They're not just bombarded with the choices they do or their parents do for eating, but then they have the electromagnetic rays, they have the GMOs, they have the additives. There are so many things these kids don't even realize that aren't good for them. So of course there's a need for education, but if they had redox signaling or even our nutrition or our cell performance in their regimen, they would definitely be able to, just grow into beautiful people and cope and deal with school and all these stresses of the world. I mean, look at the last few years where some of them had to be isolated and taught at school instead of school at home. And so our kids have definitely, they don't have what we were blessed with when we were growing up. But I was thinking, as Ray was describing the redox signaling, I mean, look at the back of the bottle. I mean, you have 75 trillion cells that you need to regenerate. You can't expect something that I started at 50, Jim started at 58. You can't expect things that you want to see change to change overnight. So maybe we can talk about expectations, because the back of the bottle gives 6 key areas, and then you have the gene study that focuses on those pathways. So maybe we can talk about expectations and why it's important to give the body time, give it minimum 90 days to address the things. You see that chart, it comes in your box. You got to give your body time to regenerate. So all doctors and even Nancy, you can kick in and add to that.
Well, especially if you've been ignoring it for years. I mean, your body accumulates stress-related harm or injury, and if you don't have enough redox signaling molecules to give your cells the ability to repair and to get back into that balance, then it takes a long time to now go back and take care of that deficiency that you built up, that backlog of cells that are just really crying out for some of these molecules to direct that repair process and to get things working the way they're supposed to work. So yeah, the older you are, the sicker you are, the longer it's going to take in general, and the more of the product you're going to need to take, because there's a lot of repair work that needs to be done. And that it's not like a drug where you take a pain pill and half an hour later, you know, some of that pain has been masked, it hadn't gone away. You just masked it. But over time, the redox signaling molecule supplementation can allow your body to repair a lot of that stuff. And again, it's just supplementing what our body already makes naturally, but doesn't have enough of. And whether you're using it topically or orally, both are great. I tell people that it goes to work immediately, but you're not going to feel the benefits right away. Some people, we tend to concentrate or build up these stories where somebody says, boy, a week after I started taking this, I felt great. Well, that's the exception, not the rule. It usually takes significantly longer than that. And I tell people, let's get you on this for at least 90 days. And if you notice any benefit during that time period, even if it isn't on the target symptom that you really want to address, if you notice some benefit, then stay on this long term. And eventually your body's going to get around to fixing some of those areas as well.
Exactly.
So stay
right.
Good. Yes.
Yeah, I think
Nancy, coming into disease is a process. Coming out of dis-ease is a process. It's a journey, and it's time related, and very much related to the stressors in your life. And when you finally find the materials that the body needs to reverse that damage, that reversal can take a long time. I remember in my naturopathic studies, this is purely non-scientific, but they used to say for every year you've had a problem and you're now on the correct journey to heal, you will need to allow at least 1 month for every year you've had that problem. Now, it's an anecdote, but it makes sense in what we're trying to share here. It's a journey. And it's very important to understand, as Dick said, it's also, and this is part of Nancy's experience too, it's very much about time and dose. It is not about will it work or will it not work. It's working to take it. You're just not aware of it, as Dick said. For you to get to that awareness level, you need it for long enough, and you need enough of it. I lost count of how many times I've seen a miracle take place with an adjustment of the amount months later. Now, it doesn't mean there wasn't healing taking place. They just weren't aware of it. And let me just say a couple of things quickly. ASEA doesn't claim to treat, cure, or prevent any disease. It is a natural supplement that the body natively makes. It's replenishing the body with what it needs to heal itself. They don't need to make those claims. It is a universal, innately made inside the human body. This is a bioidentical, exact formula of the same things. So it's the inner doctor, the God-given body's ability to heal itself, that is being fueled by the ASEA Redox supplement. Now, perhaps, Dr. Walker, at this point, it would be really good if you could also add the story. You weren't aware of major issues in your body when you began to take ASEA. You weren't suffering greatly. But wasn't it your story, Dick, some years in, where your blood pressure normalised and you needed to come off some long-term medication? Because this is healing over time.
I was, yeah. What I meant, I guess, was that I was managing, blood pressure is an interesting disease because it causes major problems over time, but you don't know what's happening. And I had been able to control it with 4 different medicines. But then after I'd been on ASEA for 4 years, giving my body these extra molecules to work on my cardiovascular system, I suddenly found that my blood pressures were too low. And as it turns out, over another couple of months, I was able to, with my doctor's, advice, just start dropping those medications one after another. And within a very short period of time, I was off of all of those, and I haven't taken any since. And I just had my blood pressure checked in my yearly health evaluation at my internist, and my blood pressure was like 122/60 or something like that. Perfect.
Great.
Better than what I had before I got high blood pressure. So,
How long had you been dealing with that, Doc?
oh, I was on medication for probably 30 years.
Well, so since you were 39.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to make a slight shift. And someone made the comment, Dick, that we need to get more of your face in the view here, because I cannot believe how you look. You shaved off that scruffy stuff, and I cannot believe how much younger you look. And Nancy, could you just go ahead and touch real quick about why we need to be doing a facial care system? And yes, men need to do it as well.
And before we do the face, so you were about to comment as Ray was. So was there something else you wanted to add on to taking it for 90 days, or what was your thoughts on that before?
I have a thing to add for Dick that he has forgotten about. He used to have a bald spot right on the top of his head. I mean, thin, not all, but like our son got married 10 years ago in the backyard, and all the pictures you can see, you know, like.
See it? Wow.
Can you show us one of those pictures, Nancy?
I don't have them. Well,
Dick won't let you. He threw them all away.
You'd have to go look for him. Yeah.
But now, you know, that filled in, and he was almost all gray at the time. And now a lot of his brown hair has come back.
Going out. That's all part of that DNA stamp.
Now, real quick, I just say, because I'm what, white or gray? You know, my dad was when he was young. I said, look, if it's part of your genes, guys, you're not going to change that. But if your follicles have gotten a little bit weary, then this could potentially spur that on. But with the ASEA, it can take some time for people to feel the results. Nancy, can you speak maybe to the beauty of the Renew 28 gel, not so much in just the facial care system, but in how, if anybody has any discomfort, and by applying it the 3 times or however many times to the issue, 90% of the time we have a radical release of some of that discomfort. That's crazy. So people can see and feel the results quickly, right?
Yeah, it's such a great tool for that.
Right. And if I could just say one more thing about ASEA redox, or the redox signaling molecules, it is a commitment. It's not a miracle.
Right.
So that's the same thing as the skincare. If you want healthy, beautiful skin, you got to use the product. There is no other way to get it.
Once or twice, or maybe like more often.
Every day on Renew.
Can I skip days, Nancy, with the redox?
No.
He's being sarcastic.
And what I'm saying too, it's an insurance policy. There is, you know, there are
actually asked Dick that question early on. If I could kind of look at it, it was my own private insurance policy to keep me well, right? And Dick said, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, because we already talked about all the stresses, the environmental pollutants, everything like that. And I just want to add one thing. You know, my mother died when she was 49 years old. So probably she had problems like me. I mean, I don't know. I was a kid, so I don't know. But that could have been my fate had I not done ASEA. That's the way I feel. I will never not drink ASEA. Never.
That's us too. Yeah.
I will not walk out my door and not have it with me.
That's right.
You know, my
every trip, every day. Yes.
My father passed away at 60 when I had realized, you know, he was an alcoholic. He was a brilliant oral surgeon, but he had a problem with Jack Daniels. But yet we don't drink, but yet I was also doing all the pain medication. So I was doing the exact same thing, but in a different form to my body. So it was a huge awakening, and how much this has given me my life back. I feel the same thing, Nancy. I don't think I would be alive right now because I was on that medication, some of it for 25 years.
And he hasn't touched anything since September 2015 is when he weaned off of all of it within 90 days.
Under my doctor's care. But make the transition real quick, Nancy, if we're okay, to the facial care system and the Renew 28 gel working like that quick.
Any part of the body.
Right. Head to toe. I call it full body therapeutic gel.
Love it.
That's
You can
right.
use it anywhere. You can use it on your scalp. You can use it for anti-aging purposes because it turns over skin cells, and used along with the Renew Advanced system. The reason you need to use it, and now we have the clay mask that cleans, like a magnet, takes all the impurities in off of the surface of our skin and also down in the pores, dirt, oil, makeup residue, and that cleans the skin to allow better absorption of the redox signaling molecules in the Renew 28. The reason why you want to still do that with the Renew Advance is because it, especially now that we can clean the skin thoroughly, the damaged skin cells will be identified much more quickly and repaired much more quickly. And then the Renew Advance supports that, that with the redox active ingredients that attach to the skin cells and help the redox reactions inside the cells to happen, to protect your skin, to protect your cells, make it more resistant to photo damage, make it more resistant to harsh environmental assaults, and to reverse the photo damage you already have, because everybody has it. Even if you're riding in a car, and the sun's coming through the window, it's aging your skin. There getting away from it. And so we need this, just like we need the redox signaling molecules in the ASEA redox to help us be healthy on the inside. We need that on the outside, because your skin is your largest organ. It's a very highly functioning organ. It's not just a covering to hold your insides in. It does a lot of things, and vitamin D production, all this. So we need to keep it healthy. And if you're healthy, you have beautiful skin. And then, use the Renew Advance to keep your skin beautiful.
Yes.
Cool.
I think the new clay mask is really cool. I shaved most of my beard so that I could use that mask because I didn't think it could get through my whiskers very well. And when I shaved, I hadn't been without whiskers for a long time. I realized that I did have some sun damage on my face, and I just don't like putting on sunscreen. And I've climbed mountains at high altitude a lot and exposed my, most of my body was covered up because it was cold. So I had long sleeves, and, you're not running around at 20,000 feet in shorts and a tank top. But you don't have anything covering your face. So, I had a lot of high altitude UV exposure. And so, I shaved, I thought, what do those little fine lines and wrinkles do in there? I didn't see those before. And so I started using that. I was part of the trial for the clay mask, and I was amazed at what that did. I wish I could just walk around with it all the time, because my skin, it took.
You almost do. Every time I walk in the house, I'm like, what are you doing? I got the mask on.
I love the
interesting
that's
thing,
awesome.
and I didn't realize it until I listened to Andrea last week, is, I'm thinking, why are they having us put Renew 28 on right after the mask? Because there are redox signaling molecules in the mask. And now I realize how that whole sequence works, because if you've got, oils and impurities on your skin that don't come off, even with the cleanser, some of it doesn't come off, then the Renew molecules, the redox molecules, are going to react with that dirt. They're going to react with that soil and get deactivated. So they, instead of working on your cells, they're going to work on the dirt. So if you can remove as much of that as possible, then the redox molecules and the Renew are going to interact with your cells, as what you really want it to do. And so I think in that regard, if you're using Renew for a sore knee or something else, I think it's going to work better if you use the mask first, even on that area, because it's going to clean the skin so that the Renew can work better after you've cleaned it off. Do you have a story on that, Ray?
We've heard that.
I think that's a really interesting point, actually, because most of us are thinking plain mask for the face because of our appearance. Just for the benefit of the listeners, there's 5 layers, 4 in most of the body, but 5 layers of skin. And everything you're looking at the surface, the stratum corneum, is dead. So all those cells you're looking at are dead. And they're constantly being turned over in the basal layer, and they're moving back up. So part of this whole process of not just removing impurities, it's removing the dead cells as well, and then rejuvenating that process of turnover, and again, maximizing the redox effect on the new, healthy, not yet dead cells, which are rising up through the layers. So very interesting point. I hadn't thought of it. I don't have access to the clay mask over here in Phuket, Thailand. I'll get it one day. I saw the demonstrations in the US, but very interesting about the possibilities of using it on an area where you're getting a lot of discomfort or some other skin issue. I think you mentioned one before the call, Jim, where you had a skin not looking good somewhere on the body, and you used the clay mask there too before the application. So I'm sure that's sped up a result there for you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, it's been phenomenal. Dick, we don't have that much time left, but can you explain why, if I have a boo-boo here and I can't move it well, and when I apply the gel to it, why does it get
More movable.
more movable? I mean, what is that? People go, what did you just do to me? Because it works like 90% of the time. It's always working, but can you maybe cover that real quick? Because I still don't understand it.
I don't know, maybe Ray can offer. So I don't really know why it alleviates discomfort the way it does and improves flexibility, other than it is definitely improving the health of our cells at a foundational level so that they can function normally instead of functioning in a guarded, uncomfortable fashion. I mean, it's just normalizing. I mean, it's not normal for your joints to be stiff and sore. Wasn't normal for Nancy to be hurting all over. But when you can supplement with a bioidentical source of these molecules and give your cells a tool that it knows exactly what to do with, and you can get it to penetrate through the skin and work, through that cascading effect that we talk about with these little molecules. That's why it alleviates that stiffness and that lack of flexibility and that soreness, because it's getting your cells back to a healthy situation. And it can do it very quickly because the topical application penetrates into the skin and works, locally. Even if you're drinking ASEA, I think when you're drinking ASEA, the Renew 28 also works better because you've got a underlying increased concentration. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Ray?
Look, I think there's two factors to consider. I understand the question. It's a very interesting one. If you've got a chronic, right where you pointed is exactly where tennis elbow is, by the way. So that is a tendonitis that it's very common in the world. Had it, and many people have experienced that, and it can be very painful, like a toothache in your arm. Now, your point is, how can it be relieved so quickly when it's a chronic problem in many cases? And there's two factors to consider. One, you've got the immediate anti-inflammatory, and we've got studies to prove the regulation from redox signals with inflammation. So you've got the short-term acute response to redox, which calms those cells down from firing off through nociceptors, the pain receptors. But then you've got the brain. Now, the pain is in the brain. When I used to teach at university level, I used to say, when I hit your big toe with a hammer, is the pain in the big toe or is it in the brain? The irony is it's in the brain. There's a homunculus in the brain that represents every part of your entire body. So if your brain is not getting those signals to say this area is painful, you won't feel painful. You won't feel that discomfort. So that rapidity of signaling of the quiescent effect, the calming effect, the adaptogenic effect of those redox molecules is signaled to that brain in rapid speed. And so that's the theory, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it. That was really good. Now,
It makes sense.
5 minutes left. Now, the last line that we have, which I love it, is self-performance. Dick, can you kind of cover what is that stuff doing? Because by golly, it works. And it's just, it's really amazing how it works that quick with no negative anything from it. What is this stuff?
Simple to use too. So
Yeah. Well, we have
And it tastes good.
we have some
exactly.
formulators at ASEA, and fortunately, they were, somewhat through trial and error, but looking at the literature and picking out botanical ingredients that have already been proven to accomplish what we're trying, like with energy or mind or mood, and then putting them together into a formulation in quantities that actually do something. A lot of products out there, you might find a product with similar ingredients to what we have in our Cell Performance, but they might not have enough of the individual ingredients to do anything.
Right.
They're buffing the label, but they're not really making a product that works. And so ASEA was determined to put enough of the key ingredients in each of the Cell Performance to accomplish the end goal of energy, mind, and mood. So ASEA has some, they formulated this, and it took them several years to come up with the right formula. I suspect that the guys at corporate, every couple of weeks they were being asked to try a new formulation of each of those and saying, what does this help? Does this work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last, I've got a lot of things that's really popping.
And each of those products has anti-aging properties as well,
Yes.
above and beyond the short-term effect of, altering your mood, clearing your mind, and giving you more energy. We now know that there's long-term effects with continued use on our telomeres, which are the biological clock that determines how many cell replications we have before that cell gives up. And if you get too many cells giving up, then you're dead. And so being able to slow down that clock is going to give us some extra time, but it's also going to give us extra quality of health. I mean, who wants to live an extra couple of years if you're stuck in a nursing home in a wheelchair? But who wants to be functional,
Right.
and be glad you're alive? Why, I'll take it,
Yeah.
You just
talked about that the last time he was on stage about telomeres and mind especially. So I love all of it.
And that's a huge topic with a lot of people. People go, what'd you say? You said what?
Yeah, is the most powerful anti-aging company in the world, because we've got our anti-aging effect through the transcription factor effects on the NRF2, improving our antioxidant defenses, and we've got that. Nobody else has that, and now we also have these great botanical formulations that are doing good things to our telomeres. So I think you're going to see more of that. I think you're going to see ASEA start to own that. But they have the best anti-aging program out there, as far as I'm concerned.
That was just a really huge statement that you just made, Dr. Walker. Isn't it kind of true that we're kind of a research and development Redox-based company that distributes products through networking? Because there's really no other way to distribute Redox because you can't explain it.
I should probably precede that statement with a short statement that says, in my opinion, we have the most powerful.
Similarly, it's the greatest health product that's ever been discovered in human history. The Redox supplement has never existed before in a supplemental form. And the very fact that the Dixon controls and regulates everything, by definition, anyone who has it is at the pinnacle. And there's only one company that has it currently. The rest is working on the Redox you already produce or enhancing what you already produce. We're actually giving it to you and adding the potent nutraceuticals to maximize that amazing snowballing catalytic effect. So there is absolutely nobody out there that can come anywhere near what ASEA Redox and other products associated is capable of. And we're just getting started.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's exciting. So exciting.
It's mind-boggling.
Nancy, what were you saying?
Well, I was going to say, you don't have to know what's wrong, why it is you don't feel good. All you have to do is commit to take these safe products that work every time. And I tell you, even though we're drinking ASEA and have every single day for 11 years now, I love the cell performance and I couldn't live without it. So I get that feeling the same, like we keep checking our supply of ASEA Redox.
Yeah.
We have enough, like we get, like I just do not want to run out. And I feel the same about cell performance.
Yes.
If you want an overall feeling of well-being, there is nothing like the mood.
Yes.
Now,
Just finished it.
yeah, guys, we're at the top of the hour. This has been
Can I say one
phenomenal.
more thing real quick, Jim?
Yeah,
No,
go for it.
No.
I think the biggest challenge, that we have as ASEA associates and as a company is that people do not appreciate how powerful their body is at fixing and healing itself. And they think they maybe has to go to a doctor or they've just given up. But our body has an incredible ability to repair. It has an incredible ability to get back to where we want it to. And these redox molecules are the major tool to make that happen. And now we have self-performance where we can tinker around the edges and fine tune some of those things that have been nagging at us and get quick results with that. So
And guys, remember too, Anna and I work with Rose Monday. She's the head coach of She was the head coach of the 2020 Olympic women's track and field. Today, she's president of USA Track and Field. This just isn't for people that are battling a health issue. This is for everybody that wants to maintain their health. Be proactive. Whose body is it? Is it yours or theirs? If it's your body, then by God, take care of it. Stop relying on someone else with a white coat to tell you what to do and how to do it and when to do it. God gave us a brain. How about we use it?
That's right. It's it.
So
a lot in an hour. So
yeah, this was awesome.
Y'all.
And next, I was going to have you, Dick, because I know you were the financial, why networking. But guys, I am going to go ahead and announce that next week we have a unbelievable show. It is going to be about the business, because I'll tell you right now, you would not be here if it wasn't for networking, friendship marketing, sharing because you care. Everyone deserves to hear about this, and we are the advertising budget for this company.
Yep.
We got Trish Schwinkler, we got Danny Doyle, we got Mal Sword, Christina Williams, Tammy Gates, Terry Latham, Jean Moran, Debbie Wetzler.
Just an all night of
there's more.
Success,
Guys, you gotta listen to not just capturing your health. Dick, what's it like to get your financial dignity back? For me, we lost. You didn't lose it like we did, but we got our life back.
Yeah.
It also has blessed you, and Ray, I know it's blessing you as well. Anything real quick on that topic, Dick?
Yeah, I would say it's lifestyle. I was making plenty of money as a doctor, but I was putting in ungodly hours at the hospital, which meant I wasn't home. I wasn't, around my children. Nancy and I weren't doing things we could have done together. And so ASEA has allowed me to maintain and even exceed that income with a much better lifestyle. This financial model and the business model of ASEA is by far the best way to earn a living and to create a life.
Well, just real quick, how stressful was your life as an ER doc? I mean, did you just walk out when your shift was over, just your brain about ready to explode? I mean, your adrenaline had to be flowing if you had a busy night.
Well, the best way for me to get back to normalize after leaving the ER was to go do some solo rock climbing so that I could get all that out of my head and concentrate on staying alive. I had to do something like that sometimes just to get rid of that stress. It would have been great to have been able to drink a mood.
Yeah, imagine.
Well, guys, Ray, anything you want to close with, Dick or Nancy or Ray? This was awesome. I don't think we need those other guys. What do y'all think? I think we can get rid of them. I think we did pretty cool.
Come back for next week's money talk.
Anything to say, Nancy? Anything you want to close with?
Every day for our ASEA lifestyle, because it affords us a lot of freedom. We can go visit our adult children who live here and there whenever we want to. Our grandson and we don't have to worry about making the house payment. We're retired, and
Yes,
we would have a very different lifestyle if it weren't for ASEA.
that's
Dick,
wonderful.
real quick.
Oh,
We'll
absolutely.
get to you, Ray. Be
Yeah.
patient, Ray.
Absolutely. We get stressed. Nancy was a little bit stressed out this last week because she had to make airline tickets for the bonus trip that we won as diamonds. And I'm thinking, you got a pretty good life when the main stress in your life is making airline reservations for a wonderful trip to St. Thomas. So our life has
Right.
changed dramatically. And we got, we had a couple of weeks in Hawaii this year, not very long ago. I just spent a weekend with my adult daughters, just doing nothing but just interacting with them. And this is just a wonderful lifestyle. I don't think you
Yeah.
can do any better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I
Ray,
agree.
real quick.
It's the same for me in the sense that I came out of a consultation room 10, 12 hours a day, which I loved, but I got worn out by the repetition and the lack of ability to move and be free. I came essentially retired really into Phuket, Thailand, but was happy to help a few people. I've never advertised, so I see a trickle of patients each day. And then this came along, and I'd looked for something special my whole life. I never found that one thing that was special. But once I woke up, it took me 2 years to wake up, I thought, oh my God, what is this? This is the most extraordinary product and then the opportunity that's come with just sharing it. I get to travel. I'll be in the US twice this year. I'll be back for the main convention in Texas.
Great.
I wouldn't have had that ability, even freedom-wise, to be able to travel. I mean, my last trip was 5 weeks out of Phuket, Thailand, between Australia and the US, traveling through Ohio and Pittsburgh, and it'll be the same again this time. So the lifestyle with it, the people like you guys are extraordinary that I get to interact with. I wanted to share with people like Dick and Dr. Lee and others in the physician territory all my life, and got disappointed with the world I was in regarding that as well. All this and lifestyle and freedom and financial income. My government won't pay me a pension living over here in Phuket, Thailand. I don't need it anymore. Thank you very much. That's the lifestyle from ASEA.
Well,
Exactly. That's
Well,
great.
guys,
This is super, y'all.
yeah, this is awesome. Again, next week, the guys, all the folks are going to have a couple of minutes. Why networking? Why friendship marketing? Why ASEA? And why now? And how does the future look? Guys, we're just beginning. This rodeo has just begun, even though we're soon to be a 14-year-old company. No one knows anything about us. We're in 33 countries. The opportunity, it's right here.
Yep.
Here it is. Do you want to join us or not? Get back to the one that got you on the call. We love you guys. We'll see you
Thank
back here
y'all.
next Friday.
Enjoy.
The Zoom will be up. Dr.
you.
Osler will have the Zoom up
See you soon.
on Redox Matters here shortly. So, guys, thank you. God bless.
See you in
Ray,
St.
thanks.
Thomas.
Love you. Love you
Nice
guys.
meeting
St. Thomas.
Thank you, Nancy and Dick.
July.
Nancy, bye.
Bye, y'all. Thanks.